The full moon hung over the black mountains like a silver eye watching the secrets of the earth. Maia rode her gray mare along the muddy road, her wool cloak soaked by the fine rain that hadn't stopped falling for 3 days. Her blonde hair was tied in a thick braid that swayed against her back, and her numb fingers held the reins with stubborn determination. She was lost, completely, irremediably lost. The village of Thornwick was supposed to be only half a day's ride from Greywater, but the sun had already set, and there was no sign of civilization. Only trees, endless trees that seemed to close in around her like skeletal fingers. "Come on, Nessa," Maia murmured to the mare. "Just a little further. There has to be an inn around here." The mare snorted, clearly disagreeing. That's when Maia heard it. A howl, long, chilling, coming from somewhere to her left. Then another, answering to her right. And another, and another. Wolves. Maia pulled on the reins, her heart racing. Wolves didn't attack travelers, not usually. Not unless they were hungry or protecting territory. The eyes appeared first, golden and bright in the darkness, circling her. 1, 2, 5, 7 wolves emerging from the shadows. But these weren't ordinary wolves. They were too big, too muscular, too intelligent. Nessa neighed, spinning in circles, and Maia struggled to keep her under control. Hey, get out! Go away!" Maia shouted, trying to sound authoritative and failing miserably. The wolves didn't move. They just watched, waited. Then one of them stepped forward, bigger than the others. Coat black as coal, golden eyes that seemed to see right through her. He stared at her for a long moment, and Maia felt something strange run down her spine. It wasn't exactly fear, it was recognition, as if that creature knew some part of her that she herself didn't know. The black wolf turned its head and made a low sound in its throat. The other wolves immediately retreated, disappearing into the forest as silently as they had arrived. But he remained, watching. "Thank you?" Maia said hesitantly, feeling utterly ridiculous for thanking a wolf. The animal tilted its head, turned, and vanished among the trees. Maia stood there trembling, trying to process what on earth had just happened. That's when she saw the light. An orange glow through the foliage, smoke spiraling upwards. Fire. Civilization. She followed the light and found something unexpected. It wasn't a village. It was a fortified estate. High stone walls, iron gates, watchtowers. And in the center, lit by dozens of torches, a manor house that looked more like a small castle. Guards appeared as soon as she approached, large, armed men with suspicious glances. "Who are you?" the tallest guard asked, his hand on the hilt of his sword. "I'm Maia. I'm trying to get to Thornwick, but I got lost and night fell and there were wolves and—" "You are on private property," the guard cut her off. "I know. I'm sorry. I just need shelter for the night. I have coins. Not many, but—" "Adonis." The voice came from behind the guards, deep, authoritative, and somehow familiar. The guards immediately stepped aside, and Maia saw the man who had spoken. Tall, broad shoulders, black hair falling over eyes that studied her with disturbing intensity. He wore simple but quality clothes, a black tunic, leather pants, knee-high boots. There was a thin scar crossing his left eyebrow. His eyes were liquid gold, but there was something wrong with them. A second, almost imperceptible color danced beneath the surface, as if shadows were trapped inside, trying to escape. They were the eyes of something ancient, of a creature that had seen the world born and burn. "Let her in," Bastian said, without taking his eyes off Maia. "But sir, the protocol—" "I said, let her in." There was no room for discussion in that tone. The gates opened. Maia was led through a stone courtyard, where servants ran back and forth carrying buckets of water and bundles of firewood. The house was even more impressive up close. Ancient Gothic architecture with gargoyles on the corners and stained glass in the upper windows. The man who had ordered her entry walked ahead, and Maia had to quicken her pace to keep up with him. "Thank you," Maia said to his back. "For your hospitality. I truly didn't realize I was trespassing." He didn't answer. "Do you have a name?" Maia tried again. "Bastion." "Just Bastion?" "Just Bastion." "Right, man of few words, got it?" He stopped so abruptly that she almost collided with his back. He turned to face her, and Maia involuntarily took a step back. There was something dangerous in the way he moved, like a contained predator. "You can stay tonight," Bastion said. "I'll accommodate you in the guest chambers. You will leave at dawn." "Gladly. I wouldn't want to abuse your clearly warm hospitality." His eyes narrowed. "Do you have an answer for everything?" "It's a talent. My mother always said I should have been born mute. It would have made my life much easier." She was right. "Wow, okay. That was rude." It was honest. Honesty and rudeness are not mutually exclusive, but they tend to go together in people without social tact. A muscle in his jaw pulsed. For a second, Maia thought he was going to explode, but then he simply turned and continued walking. They entered the main house through double oak doors. The interior was even more impressive than the exterior. High ceiling with exposed beams, ancient tapestries hanging on the walls, a massive chandelier made of what looked like intertwined antlers. A woman emerged from the side corridor. Beautiful, brown hair and elaborate curls, green velvet dress. She looked at Maia with thinly disguised curiosity before turning her attention back to Bastion. "Who is this?" Rebecca asked, her voice sweet, but with a sharp edge beneath it. "A lost traveler. She will stay in the east chambers." "Bastion," Rebecca touched his arm, pale fingers against the dark sleeve. "You know we can't just take in strangers here, not with everything that's happening." He brushed her arm away with a subtle but definitive movement. "I've decided, Rebecca." The woman, Rebecca, looked at Maia with something that was definitely not friendship. "As you wish, my lord." She walked away, her heels echoing against the stone floor. Maia arched an eyebrow. "Jealous girlfriend?" "No." "Rejected suitor?" "None of your business." "So, yes." Bastion guided her upstairs, through torchlit corridors to a dark wooden door. He opened it, revealing a surprisingly comfortable room. 4-poster bed, already lit fireplace, window overlooking the forest. "You will stay here,"
Do not leave the room until dawn. Why not? Because I'm telling you to. I'm not very good at following arbitrary orders. Then learn. He left and closed the door before I could respond. Maia stood there staring at the closed door, a mix of irritation and curiosity boiling in her chest. There was something deeply strange happening in that place, and she had a terrible feeling that she had just gotten herself into something much bigger than a simple night's shelter.
Maia couldn't sleep, not with that heavy silence hanging over the house, not with the questions swirling in her mind like circling crows. Why were there so many guards? Why had that woman, Rebecca, looked at her as if she were a threat? Maia found herself alone with her racing heart and 1,000 unanswered questions. That night, she couldn't sleep. As soon as she lay down, the screams began. She rushed to the window and saw the chaos in the courtyard. Men and women running, shouting, pointing at the trees. And then she saw what had frightened them. The forest was on fire. Fire. Maia didn't think. She just ran. Down the stairs, through corridors, out into the courtyard where everyone was in organized panic. "Water! We need more water!" someone shouted. "The wind is spreading it. We won't be able to contain it." Maia saw Bastion in the midst of the chaos, giving orders, his voice cutting through the panic like a blade. "Kian, take 10 men to the west flank. Adonis, evacuate the families to the main house. Rebecca, organize the water reserves." He moved with absolute authority, and everyone obeyed without question. Maia ran to him. "What can I do?" He turned, genuine surprise in his eyes. "You're still here?" "Clearly. How can I help?" "You can't. Go back to—" "I grew up on a farm. I know how to deal with fires. How can I help?" Bastion studied her for a long second, then motioned to a gray-haired woman. "Marian, take her to help with the injured." That's how Maia spent the next several hours helping treat burns, bandage the wounded, calm frightened children. The smoke stung her eyes, the heat made the air vibrate, the flames seemed alive, roaring as if something within them breathed. But then, between the fire and the smoke, Maia saw something that made her stop. There were people. No, not exactly people. They moved wrong, too fluid, too animal. And then she saw it. One of the figures fell to its knees, its body contorting, bones cracking under the skin. The scream that escaped wasn't human, nor entirely animal. Skin gave way to fur, and in seconds, where there had been a man, now there was a wolf, a massive wolf, with golden, wild eyes. Maia recoiled, her hand covering her mouth to stifle a scream. The air seemed to disappear from her lungs. Shapeshifters. They were shapeshifters. She had heard the stories. Ancient legends of men who ran with wolves, who were wolves, but she had never believed them. Until now. And yet, what disturbed her most wasn't what she saw, but what she felt. None of these beings seemed like monsters. They were protecting others, fighting the fire, saving lives. They were people. Frightened, brave, alive. For an instant, instinct screamed for her to flee, to run, to disappear into the forest before they noticed she knew. But then she heard crying. A little girl covered in soot, trying to wake her mother who lay on the ground. Maia hesitated, just for a second, and that second was enough for the decision to be made. She ran to the child, knelt, and began to help. Her hands trembled, fear still throbbing in her chest, but she didn't stop. She couldn't. because monsters or not, there were injured people. When the fire was finally brought under control, the sun was already rising pale in the sky, filtering through the smoke. Bastion returned covered in ash and soot, an open cut bleeding on his arm. Maia went to him immediately. "You're hurt." "I'm fine." "You're bleeding. Sit down." I said sit. To her surprise, he obeyed. Maia cleaned the wound with water and a torn cloth, her fingers steady despite the tremor she still felt. Bastion watched her face as she worked, the concentration in her green eyes, her blonde hair clinging to her skin with sweat and smoke. "Why did you stay?" Bastion asked, his voice low. "Because you needed help. We are not your people. People in danger are my people." She tied the bandage and stepped back. Their eyes met, and there was something different in his. "The fire was intentional," Bastion said, his voice grave. "Someone attacked us." "Who would do that?" "People who think we are monsters." Maia swallowed hard. "And how often does this happen?" "Often enough." She looked around. Families embracing, children crying, exhausted wolves turning back into men. "You don't deserve this." "Don't we?" "No, nobody does." Something changed in Bastion's expression. It softened, just for an instant. "You should have left." "Probably. You can still go." "I know, but you won't." Maia smiled, small, tired, but true. "Apparently, I'm not as sensible as you thought." And for the first time since she had met him, Bastion smiled back. Truly. And it completely transformed his face. It was Kian who broke the moment. He appeared out of nowhere, tall and muscular, with a grin that was pure mischief. Messy brown hair, honey-colored eyes, and an energy that made the word hyperactive sound like a compliment. "So this is the human who has our great and powerful alpha all confused. I thought she'd be taller, or have horns. I definitely expected horns." "Kian," Bastion said with a warning tone. "What? I'm just saying, you've rejected literally every woman on this estate for the past 5 years. Rebecca almost had a nervous breakdown. Serena cried for a week. And that blonde with blue eyes? What was her name? Oh, right, Meredith. She threatened to throw herself off a cliff." "She didn't threaten to throw herself off any cliff," Bastion retorted. "Okay, maybe I exaggerated, but she cried. A lot. There was snot involved. It wasn't pretty." Maia couldn't help it. She laughed. Kian winked at her. "Ah, she laughs. I already like her. Name?" "Maia." "Kian, beta of this pack and self-proclaimed comic relief in times of crisis." He made an exaggerated bow. "Kian, we always have time for basic humanity, boss. That's what separates us from the true monsters." Kian turned his attention back to Maia. "So, Maia, are you staying? Because we have great accommodations, decent food, and nightly entertainment that includes people turning into giant wolves. Can't beat that." I don't know," Maia admitted, looking at Bastion. "She's leaving tomorrow," Bastion said firmly. "Oh, sure, of course she is, just like she was leaving today, which worked out great, didn't it?" "Kian." Okay, I'm going. But think about it, Maia. We're fun people. Well, not him. He has the personality of a rock. But the rest of us are cool." He walked away whistling, leaving an awkward silence. "Is he always like that?" Maia asked. Unfortunately. I like him. Bastion looked at her as if she had gone mad. The truth is, Maia couldn't leave. Not yet. Not when there were injured to care for, children still scared, families needing help to rebuild. At least, that's what she told herself. It had nothing to do with the way Bastion looked at her when he thought she wasn't looking, or how her heart sped up every time he entered the room. It definitely had nothing to do with that. She spent the next few days helping wherever she could. Moraine, the gray-haired healer, taught her about herbs she had never seen. A young woman named Senna showed her how to prepare poultices that healed burns in half the normal time. "It's magic," Senna explained, grinding leaves in a mortar. "Our lineage carries not only the change, but also the connection to the earth. Our cures are stronger." "You can do magic?" Maia asked, fascinated. "Small things, healing mostly. Some of us can feel emotions, others can communicate with animals." Senna smiled. "Bastion can do all these things. It's part of what makes him the alpha." "Alpha?" Maia repeated. "It's like a leader?" "More than that. He's protector, judge, warrior. He carries the weight of all of us on his shoulders." Senna paused. "It's a lonely burden." "He seems to like solitude." "No one likes solitude. Some people just get used to it." Those words stayed with Maia for the rest of the day. The next morning, Maia woke to the sound of clanging metal. She went to the window and saw the training ground. Dozens of warriors practiced combat, and at the center of it all was Bastion. She went downstairs, drawn by curiosity, and found Kian leaning against a fence, munching on an apple. "Come to see the show?" Kian asked with a grin. "What show?" "Bastion training. Half the women here come to just watch." Maia rolled her eyes but couldn't help but look. Bastion was shirtless, sweat gleaming on his skin as he fought two opponents at once. Every move was precise, calculated, lethal. "He's good," Maia admitted. "Good?" Kian almost choked on his apple. "He's the best fighter in the Black Mountains, possibly on the continent. There's a reason why no one dares to attack this place directly." At that moment, Bastion knocked both opponents down in a matter of seconds. Then he looked up and saw Maia watching. For a moment, their eyes met. He waved for her to come down. "Oh no," Maia said. "No, no, no." "Oh yes," Kian chuckled. "Go on, it'll be fun. For me." Maia descended reluctantly. The warriors made way, all looking with curiosity. "Do you know how to fight?" Bastian asked. "Define fight." "I know how to throw a punch and a kick to the groin if necessary." Some warriors laughed. "Show me." "Seriously?" "Seriously." Bastion picked up 2 wooden training swords and offered one to her. Maia took it, feeling the uncomfortable weight. "It's heavy." "It's a sword. It's supposed to be heavy." "Well, sorry for not having experience lifting objects designed to kill people." Kian was laughing so hard he had to sit down. "Defensive stance," Bastion instructed, demonstrating. Feet apart, knees slightly bent, sword in front. Maia tried to copy. She ended up looking like a drunk flamingo. "No, like this." Bastion moved behind her, adjusting her arms, her posture. His hands were warm against her skin, and Maia had to concentrate very hard not to drop the sword. "Now," he said, returning to the front, try to hit me." "I'm not going to hit you." "Why not?" "Because I'll hurt you." The laughter that swept across the field was unanimous. Even Adonis, always serious, was smiling. "Maia," Bastion said patiently, "you will not hurt me." "That's arrogance." "It's a fact." "Okay, you asked for it." Maia lunged with the sword. Bastion dodged so easily that she almost fell. "Again." She tried. Missed. Again. Tried. Missed. Again. "I am trying." "You're telegraphing your movements. I know what you're going to do before you do it." "Maybe it's because I don't know what I'm doing." "Then stop thinking. Just react." "That's literally impossible. Thinking is involuntary." Tian was almost falling off the fence from laughing so hard. Maia tried again, this time without thinking. The sword flew from her hand and almost hit an innocent warrior. "Sorry," she shouted. Bastion sighed. "Okay, maybe swords aren't your weapon." "You think?" "Try knives. They're smaller, lighter." He gave her 2 training knives. Maia held them as if they were venomous snakes. "Now, attack me." "Bastion!" "Attack me." Maia lunged. Bastion grabbed her wrist, spun her, and suddenly she was with her back against his chest, her arm trapped, completely immobilized. "Dead," he said in her ear. Something hot coursed down Maia's spine. "That's not fair. You're stronger." "Enemies don't care about fair." He released her. Again. They trained for an hour. Maia didn't hit him once, but she learned how to move her feet, how to keep her balance, how not to accidentally let the weapon fly away. In the end, she was breathless, sweating, and completely frustrated. "You're terrible at this," Bastion said. "Thanks, very encouraging. But you didn't give up. That counts." "Is that what you say to all your hopeless students?" "You're the only hopeless student." Kian clapped slowly. "That was the most romantic I've ever seen Bastion be. You two are perfect for each other." Later, Maia was curious enough to walk around the property. She found a strange place, a hidden library behind the main hall. It was smaller than she expected, but cozy. Floor-to-ceiling shelves, a fireplace, worn armchairs, and in the corner, bent over a massive book, was Adonis. He looked up when she entered. "Lost?" "Exploring. I didn't know you had a library." "Most don't. Not many here read." He went back to his book. Maia looked at the titles. They were eclectic: history, military strategy, botany, even poetry. "May I?" she asked, pointing to an armchair. Adonis shrugged, which she interpreted as permission. She picked up a book at random, a collection of ancient myths, and sat down. The silence was comfortable, just the crackle of the fire and the turning of pages. After half an hour, Adonis spoke. "You read fast." "I grew up with books. They were my only company when my brother got sick. He couldn't leave his bed, so I read to him." "What kind of stories?" "Adventures mostly. Knights, dragons, princesses who didn't need rescuing." She smiled. He liked the violent ones. "I like him." "You would. He had a sharp tongue. Always said terrible things at the worst possible moment." She paused. "You remind me of him a little." Adonis raised an eyebrow. "I don't know if that's a compliment." "It is." They went back to their books. Another 20 minutes of peaceful silence. Then Adonis said, without looking up, "He's in love with you. Completely." Maia almost dropped the book. "What?" "Bastion, in case it wasn't clear." Why are you telling me this? Because someone has to, and he certainly won't. Adonis finally looked at her. He's my friend, my brother in everything but blood, and I've never seen him like this. Adonis closed his book. Bastion carries the weight of everyone on this property. He's never let anyone carry his weight. Until you. I don't know if I know how. No one does. That's the point. You figure it out together. He stood up. Just be patient with him. He's an idiot when it comes to emotions. Are you too? Especially me. A ghost of a smile. Why do you think I spend so much time with books? After Adonis left, Kian appeared. Because of course he did. Ah, the secret lair. I should have known you'd find it. It's not that secret if you know about it. Fair enough. He flopped into an armchair. So, you and Bastion, when's the big bonding ritual? Because I'm already planning the party. There'll be music, food, possibly a fight. There's no ritual. Yet. Kian. Maia. He mimicked her perfectly. Look, everyone knows. It's obvious. He's obsessed, you're obsessed. It's adorable and slightly nauseating. Thanks? I'm just saying, when it happens, and it will, I want to be the best man, or whatever the wolf equivalent is. First witness? Wolf of honor? You just made that up. Maybe, but it sounds official. Maia laughed. You're ridiculous. Thank you. I work at it. He picked up a random book, looked at it upside down, and pretended to read. Wow, this is deep. It's upside down. Even deeper then. The door opened and Bastion entered. He stopped when he saw the two of them. Of course, I thought I'd find peace here. No peace for the lovesick. Kian. I'm leaving. I have things. Important. Beta things. He practically ran out. Bastion shook his head and looked at Maia. Did he bother you? No more than usual. So, a lot. I like him. He's lightness. He's chaos. That too. Bastion sat in the chair Adonis had occupied. He looked at her book. Ancient Myths. Good choice. You've read it? 3 times. What's your favorite? He thought. The story of the first pack. About how shapeshifters came to be. Tell me. You can read it. But I want to hear you tell it. Something softened in his eyes. Long ago, when the world was young and the gods still walked among mortals, there was a woman who loved a wolf. Not a shapeshifter, a real wolf. She saved him from a trap, and he swore to protect her. But when hunters came to kill her, the wolf wasn't strong enough. He died defending her. That's sad. It's not over yet. The moon goddess, moved by such devotion, gave the wolf a second chance. She transformed him into a man, but kept the wolf's heart and soul inside him. And she gave him the choice, to live as a man or as a wolf, but never to forget where he came from. He chose both. And so the first shapeshifter was born. And the woman? She married him, had his children, and all their descendants carried the blessing and curse of dual nature. It's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful lie. The truth is probably far more mundane. Wild magic, mutation, who knows. He looked at her. But I like the story anyway. The idea that shapeshifters were born of love, not violence or darkness. Love. Maia felt something tighten in her chest. You're more romantic than you let on. Don't tell anyone. It would ruin my reputation. They stayed like that, just existing in the same space, until the dinner bell rang. She was invited to dinner in the main hall. It was a huge room with a long table that easily seated 50 people. It was full. Families, warriors, elders, children running between chairs. Maia was seated near the head of the table, where Bastion presided. Kian was to her right, naturally, making everyone laugh with some story about a wild boar and a misguided bet. And then Adonis, the idiot, jumped straight into the mud because someone, Kian looked accusingly at another man at the table, said the boar was just a lost domestic pig. The man in question, Adonis, apparently, didn't smile. He was Kian's opposite, serious, piercing gray eyes, almost white blonde hair pulled back. He had an air of controlled danger that rivaled Bastion's. "The boar was domestic," Adonis said calmly. "It's not my fault you don't know the difference." "It had tusks the size of my arm." Exaggeration. "Scars don't lie." Kian lifted his shirt, showing a jagged scar on his abdominal. The entire table laughed, except Bastion, who merely shook his head, and Adonis, whose expression didn't change. Rebecca was seated on Bastion's other side, looking at Maia with thinly veiled disapproval. "So, Maia, where are you from exactly?" "Greywater, small village in the valley." "And what brings a village girl to savage lands?" "I was going to Thornwick, family business." "What kind of business?" "Rebecca," Bastion interrupted, his voice low but firm. "Enough. I'm just being polite, making conversation. You're being intrusive. And you're being inappropriately protective of a stranger." The silence that fell over the table was absolute. Bastion set his glass down with a clink. "May I speak with you, privately?" It wasn't a request. They stood and left the room, leaving everyone in uncomfortable silence. Kian was the first to speak. "So, anyone want to bet how long until Rebecca is banished?" "Kian," Adonis admonished him. "What? I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. She's been a nightmare since Bastion rejected her. 3 years, people. 3 years of drama." An older woman, with black hair and silver streaks, sighed. "An alpha's rejection is hard to accept, especially when there's no explanation." "He doesn't need to give an explanation," Adonis said. "He's the alpha." "Even alphas have hearts, and sometimes those hearts recognize things the mind doesn't understand." She looked at Maia when she said that. Later, Maia found Bastion on the parapet of the wall, looking out at the darkening forest. The moon was a crescent casting faint shadows. "You shouldn't be here," Bastion said without turning. "You say that a lot." "Because it's true." Maia leaned against the stone next to him. "What Rebecca said about you having rejected all the women, is it true?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because none of them were right." "And how do you know? How do you know when someone is right?" Bastion finally looked at her, and there was something in his eyes that made the air leave Maia's lungs. "You just know," he said softly. "It's instinct, like breathing, like knowing fire burns without having to touch it. That sounds lonely, waiting for something you can't define." It is. They stood in silence for a long moment, the wind blowing between them. "Why did you really stay?" Bastion asked. "The injured are healed. The fire is out. There's no reason for you to still be here." Maia didn't answer immediately. She looked at the stars beginning to appear above. "Maybe I'm looking for something too, something I don't know how to define." Bastion's eyes widened imperceptibly. "Maia, my brother died 2 years ago. Fever. Quick and brutal. And my mother followed 6 months later. Broken heart, the doctor said, as if it were possible to die of sadness." She swallowed hard. "And since then, I've just existed, waking, working, sleeping. never really living. Why are you telling me this? Because when I saw those flames, when I saw all of you fighting to save your home, your families, I felt something. For the first time in 2 years, I felt something other than emptiness. She faced him. So thank you for letting me stay, even if you didn't want to. Bastion seemed to be fighting some internal battle. His jaw was tense, his hands clenched into fists against the stone. You need to leave, Bastion said, but his voice lacked conviction. Why? Because the longer you stay, the harder it gets. Harder for whom? For both of us. Maia took a step closer. What if I don't want it to be easy? His eyes met hers, and for the first time she saw vulnerability, real fear. You don't understand what you're saying. Then make me understand. Bastion closed his eyes. Our species, when we recognize, he stopped, frustration evident. There's something called a bond. It's rare, precious, and irreversible. Maia's heart was beating so fast she was sure he could hear it. What happens when you bond? You become half of another soul. You feel what they feel. You know when they're in danger. You live to protect them. And if something happens to them, something in you dies too. And you're saying that Maia could barely form the words. From the moment you touched my hand in the forest, from the moment I looked into your eyes and saw something I didn't know I was looking for, his voice was hoarse. You are my bond, Maia. The world tilted. I'm human, Maia whispered. I know. This is possible? It shouldn't be, but it is. And you reject me? Is that why you want me to leave? Bastion let out a sound that was almost a laugh, but without humor. Reject you, Maia? I've done everything in my power not to mark your door like an obsessed animal, not to follow your every move, not to destroy anyone who looks at you for too long. He took a step forward, invading her space. Rejecting you would be like rejecting breathing. Then why do you want me to go? Because I'm dangerous, because my world is violent, hunters, fanatics, other packs competing for territory. His voice was laden with pain. Because I can't guarantee your safety. His eyes were golden storms. Give me a chance. Give us a chance to figure out what this means. For a long moment, Bastion didn't move. Then, slowly, as if each movement hurt, he raised his hand and touched her face. His fingers were calloused, but surprisingly gentle. You are the most stubborn thing I've ever met. Thank you. That wasn't a compliment. I know. I choose to accept it as one anyway. And then finally, he smiled, truly, and Maia realized she could easily get addicted to that smile. 1 week, he said. Stay 1 week, learn about us, see how we live, and then if you still want to stay, we'll talk. 1 week, Maia agreed. She didn't mention that she already knew she wasn't leaving. The next few days were a revelation. Maia learned that the property was actually a refuge, one of the last safe places for shapeshifters in the Black Mountains. Families came from all directions, fleeing persecution, seeking shelter. Bastion was not just an alpha, he was a living legend. He killed an entire pack when he was just 18, Kian told her as he took her on a tour of the property, alone. They had massacred a human village, and they were giving a bad name to all of us. Bastion tracked every single one of them, and, well, It wasn't pretty. He killed them to protect humans? Maia asked, surprised. He killed them for being monsters. Bastion sees no difference between humans and our kind. He sees people, and he protects people. Kian looked at her. That's why half the families here are human, married to shapeshifters, mixed blood children. He doesn't care about blood, only character. Maia watched the courtyard where children played. Some were clearly shapeshifters, eyes too bright, movements too agile. Others were entirely human, and there was no difference in how they were treated. He's a good man, she said softly. He's the best man I know, Kian responded, all mischief gone from his voice. And he's carried that weight alone for so long, he's forgotten what it's like to share the burden. He looked at her. Perhaps you can remind him. But not everything was peace and discovery. Rebecca was increasingly hostile. She had friends, other wolves who saw Maia as an intruder, as a threat to the natural order. On the third night, Maia was returning from the kitchen when 3 women surrounded her in the hallway. Rebecca, a tall redhead named Nara, and another dark-haired woman named Iris. "You need to leave," Rebecca said bluntly. "Why? I'm helping. I'm not causing trouble." "You are the problem. You're confusing the alpha, distracting him when he needs to be focused." "I seem him perfectly focused to me." Nara stepped forward and there was real menace in her eyes. "You don't belong here, human. You don't understand our customs, our hierarchy. An alpha needs a strong mate, someone who can fight alongside him, protect the pack. And you think I can't?" "We know you can't," Iris said with disdain. "You're weak, fragile. First real battle and you'd be dead." Something hot and dangerous ignited in Maia's chest. "Are you finished?" "Far from it," Rebecca began. "Great. My turn." Maia straightened her shoulders. "I didn't ask to come here. I didn't ask Bastion to feel whatever it is he feels. I was literally just trying not to get eaten by wolves. So forgive me if I ruined your plans to marry him and live happily ever after." "How dare you?" "I'm not finished. Second, I grew up on a farm. I tended wounds that would make you sick and survived 2 famine winters where we had to choose who would eat each day. So don't talk to me about strength. You know nothing about what I've survived." Rebecca was red with rage. "You are..." "And third," Maia continued, her voice growing lower, more dangerous, "if Bastion wants me here, I stay. If he doesn't, I'll leave. But that decision is between him and me. It doesn't involve you. So I suggest you back off before you do something you'll regret." For a moment, she thought Rebecca was going to physically attack her. The woman's eyes flashed golden, a low growl echoing in her throat. "Is there a problem here?" They all turned. Adonis was at the end of the hallway, arms crossed, expression neutral. But there was something menacing in his posture. "None," Rebecca said through gritted teeth. "Good, because it would be a shame to have to report hostile behavior to the alpha, especially against a guest under his protection." His gray eyes were pure ice. "You 3 have duties. I suggest you return to them." They backed away, but not before Rebecca cast one last venomous look at Maia. When they were gone, Adonis approached. "Are you all right?" "I am, thank you." "Don't thank me. I just did my job." "But you held your own well. Most humans would have crumbled." "Most humans probably have more sense than I do." A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "Probably." He started to walk away, then stopped. "A word of advice. Rebecca isn't your biggest problem. There are things happening that you don't know about. Things that make the alpha lose sleep every night." "What kind of things?" "The kind that kills." He stared at her. "Stay close to him, and if anything happens, run." Before she could ask more, he had disappeared down the corridor. Maia found Bastion in what she learned was his study, a room lined with books, maps spread over a large table, ancient weapons hanging on the walls. He was bent over a map, marking something with a piece of charcoal. He didn't look up when she entered. "Rebecca and her friends confronted me today," Maia said. Now he looked up, his eyes narrowing. "Did they hurt you?" "No. But Adonis suggested there's something bigger happening, something you haven't told me." Bastion slowly set the charcoal aside. "Adonis needs to learn to keep quiet." "Bastion." He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "There's a war coming. It's been coming for years, but now it's at our doorstep." "What kind of war?" "Between shapeshifters and humans. There's a group, they call themselves the Purifiers. They believe anything not wholly human is an abomination that needs to be eradicated. They've been burning shapeshifter villages across the continent, massacring entire families." Maia's blood ran cold. "The fire? Was it them?" "Yes, and it wasn't the first attack. In the last year, we've lost 3 outposts, 52 people killed." "Gods!" "There are no gods here, Maia. Only fanaticism and hatred." He pointed to the map. "They're organizing, building armies, and they're coming here because this is the largest remaining refuge. If we fall, the entire region falls." Maia looked at the map. Seeing the symbols marked in red, there were so many. "What are you going to do?" "Fight. Protect my pack. What I always do." He stared at her. "That's why you need to leave, Maia, before it's too late." "What if I say no?" "Then you're more foolish than I thought." "Or braver. Courage without wisdom is just another word for suicide." Maia circled the table until she stood beside him. "Then teach me. Teach me to fight, to defend myself, to be useful." "No." "Why?" "Because if I see you with a sword in your hand facing enemies, I will lose my mind. I will forget tactics, strategy, everything, and I will do something stupid that will cost lives." His voice was hoarse. "The bond is already forming, Maia. Even without being complete, it's already destroying me. I can't think straight when you're near. I can't focus. Yesterday during training, Kian almost hit me because I was thinking about you." "Kian almost hit you?" "I know. Pathetic." "No. Human." "Human. That's the irony, isn't it? You make me more human when I need to be more wolf." Maia placed her hand over his on the map. "What if you need to be both?" Their fingers intertwined automatically, and the sensation was electric. Bastion looked at their clasped hands as if it were a miracle and a curse. "You're asking for something I don't know if I can give." "I'm not asking for perfection. I'm asking for effort." And for the first time since she arrived, he saw him falter. The armor he always wore, that of the ruthless alpha, the unshakable warrior, cracked just enough for her to see the man beneath. Tired, lonely, desperate for a connection he didn't know how to accept. "1 week," he finally said. "I promised you a week. Let's see if we survive it." But fate had other plans. 2 days later, the attack came. Maia was helping in the kitchen when the bells began to ring. Not normal bells, war bells. She ran outside and saw the chaos. Men wearing armor with fire symbols rushed through the gates that someone had managed to open. Purifiers. "Get the children! Take them to the tunnels!" Moraine shouted, pushing children towards a hidden door. Maia ran to help, picking up a crying child and rushing with her. Arrows whistled through the air. She heard screams, howls. The smell of blood filled the air. She handed the child to another woman in the tunnels and turned to help more, but froze. Bastian was in the middle of the courtyard, and he was no longer human. The wolf was massive, black as night, with eyes that glowed golden and red at the same time. He moved like deadly water, claws tearing, jaws snapping. 3 men fell before she blinked. But there were so many enemies. Kian fought in wolf form beside him, brown fur gleaming with blood. Adonis was in human form, but no less deadly, dual swords spinning in lethal arcs. And then Maia saw it. A man in the shadows, bow raised, arrow aimed directly at Bastian's heart. He didn't see. He was too busy fighting 3 opponents at once. Maia didn't think. She just ran. "Bastian!" He turned the moment the arrow was fired. Maia collided with him, pushing him aside. The arrow intended for his heart buried itself in her shoulder. The pain was explosive. White. Absolute. She fell and the world tilted sideways. But before she hit the ground, strong arms caught her, and the roar Bastian let out was not of this world. It was primal, pure rage distilled into sound. Maia didn't see what happened next. Her vision was darkening, the pain turning everything into static. But she heard screams, pleas, the sound of bones breaking, and then silence. When she managed to focus again, she was in Bastion's arms. He had returned to human form, covered in blood that wasn't his. His eyes were wild, desperate. "No," he was saying repeatedly. "No, no, no. I'm okay," Maia gasped. "You have a damn arrow in your shoulder." "Oh, that." The pain was making me dizzy. It's not that bad." "Moraine?" Bastion roared. "Moraine!" The healer came running, already assessing the wound. Get her inside, now. Maia was carried into the house, laid on a table. People rushed around, bringing hot water, bandages, herbs. "This is going to hurt," Moraine warned. "What's going to?" The healer yanked the arrow out. Maia screamed. Her vision exploded into white. When the world returned, Bastion was holding her hand, squeezing so hard it hurt. "I'm here," he was saying. "I'm here, Maia. You'll be fine. You have to be fine." Are you okay?" she managed to ask. "I'm unharmed. Because of you. You're insane. Absolutely insane. What on earth did you think you were doing?" "Saving you." "I don't need saving. I'm the alpha." "Everyone needs saving sometimes." Moraine was working on the wound, stitching, applying poultices. "She'll be fine. The arrow didn't hit anything vital, but she lost blood. She needs rest." "I'll take care of her," Bastion said, not letting go of Maia's hand. "Bastion, I said, I'll take care of her." When Maia woke, she was in a room she didn't recognize, larger than hers, with a fireplace that popped softly. Sunlight streamed through wide windows. And Bastion was sitting beside the bed, head tipped forward, asleep in an extremely uncomfortable-looking chair. She tried to sit up and groaned. Pain shot through her shoulder. Bastion was instantly awake, eyes focusing on her with laser intensity. "Don't move. You were stabbed. No, you were shot with an arrow, meant for me. Good morning to you too. There's nothing good about it." He stood,
beginning to pace the room like a caged animal. You nearly died because of me. You threw yourself in front of an arrow. An arrow, Maia. I know. I was there. It's not funny. I'm not laughing. You're smiling. She was. She couldn't help it. You sound like an angry dad. I am not your father. He stopped, running his hands through his hair in frustration. I'm my bonded mate, I offered, calmly. He froze. You can't just say that. Why not? It's true, isn't it? Maia, you felt it when I was hit. I saw it in your eyes. You felt my pain. He didn't deny it. Yes, I felt as if someone had plunged a blade into my own heart. And you lost control. Completely. I don't even know how many. I just know that when I came to, you were bleeding and there were bodies everywhere. You killed them to protect me. I would have killed them anyway. They are enemies. But yes, he opened his eyes and there was something wild in them still. I killed them because they dared to hurt you, and I would do it again, 1,000 times over. Maia's heart was thumping. Then stop fighting it. Fighting what? Us. The bond. Feeling something for someone. She held out her good hand. I choose this, Bastion. Even knowing the dangers, even knowing about the war, I choose you. He looked at her hand as if it were a trap. You don't know what you're saying. Stop deciding what I do or don't know. I'm an adult. I've survived more than you think, and I'm telling you I want to stay. Until you die? Everyone dies eventually. At least I'll die having lived something worthwhile. Bastion let out a sound that was half laugh, half sob. Then, slowly, he took her hand. His fingers entwined with hers, and it was like a circuit completing. You're going to drive me insane. I promise. And then, finally, he smiled, and Maia knew she had made the right decision.
Recovery was slow. Maia hated every second of being confined to bed, but Moraine was relentless. If you break your stitches, I'll sew you up again, and I won't be gentle this time. Bastion visited every day. He brought food, books, reports on the reconstruction. The Purifiers had been repelled, but everyone knew they would return. We lost 12 people, he told her one day, his voice heavy. I'm sorry. It was my fault. The gates, someone opened them from the inside. A traitor. Who? We don't know yet, but I will find out. His voice was cold, and when I do, he didn't need to finish. It was Kian who finally brightened things up. He appeared with a bottle of something that smelled terribly strong and a mischievous grin. Grandma's medicine! Cures everything, including arrows in the shoulder and alphas with funeral faces. I don't have a funeral face, Bastion protested. Please. You've been walking around like the world is ending, which technically it is, but still, you need to relax. He poured the liquid into 3 small glasses. The smell made Maia's eyes water. Is this poison? Technically, yes, but the good kind of poison. They clinked glasses and drank. The liquid burned going down her throat, but left a pleasant warmth afterward. Tell me about yourself, Maia asked Kian after the second glass. How did you become Beta? Oh, that's an interesting story. Kian leaned back. It involves a misunderstanding, a very aggressive goat, and Bastion having to rescue me from a tree. It wasn't exactly like that, Bastion muttered. It was exactly like that. I was 16, stupid, and thought I could steal a magic crystal from a hermit in the mountains. Turns out the hermit had a goat, and that goat was possessed by demons, I'm sure. She chased me for 3 kilometers. I ended up stuck in a tree, screaming for help, and who shows up? Our glorious Alpha, just a year older than me, already with a reputation for being unbeatable. Kian looked at Bastion with genuine affection. And you know what he did? I regret this story, Bastion said. He climbed the tree with me because the goat was really scary. We stayed there for hours until it got tired and left. I was assessing the situation. You were afraid of the goat. It was a very large goat. Maia was laughing so hard her shoulder hurt, but she didn't care. Seeing this side of Bastion, human, imperfect, capable of being afraid of a goat, made him even more real. When Kian finally left, she and Bastion sat in comfortable silence. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "For letting me see that. The man beneath the Alpha. There's not much difference. There's all the difference." She touched his face, her fingers tracing the scar on his eyebrow. "The Alpha is strong, unbeatable, perfect. The man is afraid of goats." He chuckled, taking her hand and pressing a kiss to her palm. "You're impossible." "And you like it?" "Unfortunately." They looked at each other, and something shifted in the air. It became heavier, charged with possibility. Bastion leaned in, slowly, giving her time to pull back. But Maia didn't pull back. She leaned forward, meeting him halfway. The kiss was soft, tentative, as if both were afraid of breaking something precious. When they pulled apart, Bastion rested his forehead against hers. "This changes everything," he whispered. "I know. You can't go back after this. I don't want to go back." And so, with that kiss, the bond began to solidify. Maia felt it at the edges of her consciousness, a tenuous but growing connection, an invisible thread connecting her heart to his. It was terrifying and wonderful at the same time. And we've reached the end of the story. What did you think of Maia and Bastion? Let me know in the comments where you're listening from too. I love to know how far my stories are reaching. So that's all for now. Until next time.